Hello, welcome to Tarot for Our Times. This is Sarah Sachs, your medium on the go. And it does seem as though the Epstein files have crept into every corner of our life. And the interesting thing is that those of my colleagues who just say they don't really give a shit about politics or anything like that, it's kind of crept into their world because some of their idols or people they really admire have been implicated. And as I was exhausted from doing a fair over the weekend, I was thinking, oh, what am I going to make? Am I going to make a video on Sunday evening, and what is it going to be about? And I'm usually pretty burned out from the weekend, but this morning, and I got up, I did see a video from Escape Matrix, which is titled "Are All Our Spiritual Leaders Corrupted?" And I have been hearing bits, and I will put that where I can put that, probably in a comment. Because I have been hearing some chatter about, Deepak Chopra and some others. And the premise of this video was very good in that we kind of create these people by, elevating them to godlike status, which is what they want. So we've pretty much bought into this. Now, he was pretty right on, except and this isn't the first time. I did hear the Dalai Lama was somehow mixed up in this mess. There's something that he has allegedly said that I really, really don't want to repeat. I don't want to give that any energy and repeat that. But I did post the thing on Facebook, and I got some very immediate responses about the Dalai Lama, and there was an article posted from the articletibet.net about, and they debunked it, and they did a good job of debunking it. Plus, I did have a long conversation with a medium friend from Lilydale who does facilitates them when they come every summer for the opening season. And she said, we had a long conversation, and she was telling me that there is definitely a very involved protocol. That guy is not left alone. He wouldn't have had time to be hanging around Epstein, and although his name does appear a number of times in the files, which I'm going to get to about our dealing with that. And it seems as though, looking at this article, which does have a document from the DOJ, and it pretty much says that as much as Epstein would have liked to have met him, I guess to give himself some kind of credibility, that just never happened. And it's quite convincing, quite a convincing article. Also, there is the fact, as far as that whatever that disgusting thing that he was supposed to have said is very likely to have been something that the Chinese cooked up, because come on, they've chased these people out of their land, and they've been wanting to discredit him. So there is all of that going on, and there is a lesson with that. And I couldn't make up my mind whether this was a moon or a death card type of reading, so I decided it's both, and I will go into that. But there is a lesson in that, because someone appears in the Epstein files, you have to look into it and see, well, how do they appear? And because there are probably he's probably an example of a lot of people have appeared because Epstein said they wanted to meet them, or they got to fly on his plane, not knowing what a really sicko that he was. And all kinds of different circumstances, which does not necessarily make them pedophiles. So this is a very big lesson in you really need to get all the facts, especially in this day of the internet. So as far as the moon card, I will go to the moon card. This really, really goes into the subconscious and the I would say this could be, although I didn't present it in the thumbnail, it's probably the moon in reverse, because a lot of these people like Deepak Chopra and the others mentioned in that, and Teal Swan, although he did not associate her with the Epstein things, but it's an example of, you think you might have picked the wrong guru here. So this is pretty much talking about the energy of the mental illness and the damage, these damaged psyches that probably got hooked up with Epstein, and a lot of people that have been abused themselves in this way turn out to be abusers. Not all of them. I would say not all people that have been abused in that way turn out to be abusers, but I would say like a big percentage of the abusers have been abused themselves, and some are damaged beyond repair. They've crossed into that land that they're never going to reach those pillars. They're not going to come out of it. So the death card is about, and this is important with that religious figure being very prominently up front. The big message is that it's fine to have spiritual leaders and teachers, but don't make them into gods. And I think that a lot of these, some of these people, or all of these people that he mentioned, fall into the category of the big egos, and I have all the answers, and they say all the right things, and vulnerable people go ahead and worship them. So part of the whole thing is, well, the king is dead, long live the king. But the problem with that is, maybe this is death in reverse, but at any rate, I think both of these cards probably ought to be reversed, because they can't, Trump represents somehow the king that they can't give up. Then, pick a guru, whatever guru that maybe seriously appeared in the Epstein files. It's like people are going to find it very hard to give them up, or they're going to feel somewhat damaged. And of course, you've got the banner of Epstein waving above this, and this really, the ones that seem to get away with it are these big celebrity spiritual people and the very, very wealthy. So this has, like it or not, this has, for those that watch these kinds of videos, this has come into our world. And I think maybe the Dalai Lama sees this as well. Maybe you need to dig a little bit deeper to see who belongs and who doesn't, because there will be politicians of both parties who may have hitched a ride on his jet or appeared at a couple of cocktail parties that weren't orgies, that are in the files, but in a benign way. So we have to be very careful about that. So I want to keep these cards here. Since I'm using both cards, what I want to do is, instead of just picking the one backup card, and I have been shuffling these, what I want to do is pick a couple of cards. So here, with the Companion of the Moon in reverse, where we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. So this is the rapidity of, this is interesting, the rapidity of the lies that are spread, and it's also about one shooting off their mouth and coming to conclusions before having gotten all the facts. So with death, then I would say either upright, reverse, we have the Companion card is okay. Very interesting. Things are happening there, now that that we've had that very, very awful Blondie testimony in the House, and which really makes this look like even a bigger cover up. A lot of things are going to happen that are really out of the control, and they're all going to happen at once. It's like, I just before I came on the air, I had Melania's more involved. The one video, another one is about Kristi Noem. Or they threw Kristi Noem under the bus. It's just like this rapid kind of news that's coming out, and on a Sunday night, no less. We don't really get a break. So if you don't give this stuff up, this unwarranted hero worship, and this goes to Hollywood and politicians, all that sort of thing, and billionaires. I mean, when I worked at the Seattle Sheraton and the Convention Center and all these places, I did come across Bill Gates and his family quite a bit, and I will say they were kind of a peculiar lot of people, but he was kind of strange enough that I might be tending to believe that, yeah, he could be. But I just remember how people at his conferences, he had like a big sales conference in January and then some other big deal in May, that every venue in town was filled up. When he put in an appearance, the people just fawned all over him like he was a rock star, that sort of thing. And he's like just like the most nerdiest guy you ever saw in your life. But the fact that he had this fortune, I mean, just people just were breaking each other's neck to get close to him. I thought it was kind of creepy, actually. So at any rate, so we've got these cards going. So I was thinking after I did, I think I was going to I thought, what am I going to read on? I thought, well, maybe just let the intro just flow into the reading. So I would say that I think what I'm going to do is just do a general reading and see where it goes. I can't do individual readings on everyone. I'm not going to be the judge of the others. I think Deepak Chopra has really been on the record of talking about the young women and some of the, but I think it's up to everybody. If there's someone on that list to say like, that doesn't quite look right, use your intuition and dig a little bit deeper. It's like, as far as the Dalai Lama went, I thought, I find this hard to believe, but is it because I just don't want to believe? But then when these people, came on my Facebook comments, and with knowing what the protocol was, and I know this one woman, she really does know what the protocol is. because she's been hosting them for, well, like 20, almost 20 years. I lost track, but a long time. And you and someone that is upfront and close to this group of people have an idea, and that article with that document is very credible. So I just want to start the reading and just see where it goes, because I really think that this is an example of we need to this is a very serious charge against people, and we cannot become like the Salem witch hunt. Whoops. What happened? Oh, okay. I thought, lost the picture there for a second. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so let's see where all of this is going in our world anyway. Because this goes to the mainstream religion. Like, they all have had their child abusers. It's not, the Catholics have gotten a lot of attention, but trust me, it overflows into all of them. Okay, maybe in a different way. So let us see what our main card is. Here we go. Well, we have... Okay, I don't know what that is doing. We have the Knight of Wands in reverse, which is another version of... I'm going to say that this is the young person perhaps developing into the abuser, because he can be very mean and abusive in reverse, and it's also infidelity too. And oh gee, I wonder who we could think of prominent in our government with that. And also maybe look at the lives of some of these people that were mentioned in this tape, like that Dutch guy, I can't remember his name right now, that some Swami and yogi and all this sort of thing. So let's see. So I'm going to say this, it looks like we're going into the portrait of the abuser, and then, part of it is also looking at their personality. And if they're... One thing that separates a Dalai Lama is that he's saying, I'm not a leader. I don't have all the answers. I'm just out here pretty much posing the questions. So he doesn't fit the profile. And of course, all of this is for entertainment purposes only. So as a lead up to this, okay, Three of Pentacles in reverse. Yes, he's waiting for his... oh, that's the after tarot. Okay. We'll put that in the after thing. And then we got the before leading up to this. Okay, so the before guy here is the Devil in reverse. The devil, it's like the devil energy got hold of this person. And in this instance, I'm going to say the devil in reverse is about the devil is on steroids. And I would say with maybe the very dysfunctional parents, possibly abusers who, it's the gift that keeps on giving, raising this person who's just like nasty in his youth. And then, in the end, left alone with no one to bargain with, just left in an isolated position. So let's see, the energy with this is, of course it is the Tower. This whole thing is a big recipe for disaster. And here we have, with the flames, we have the, because the tarot is just stuffed like a Thanksgiving turkey filled with the Kabbalah. In the part of the Kabbalah, it's the Hebrew letters. So we hear, and I've talked about this one, here is the Yud, which is the most energetic, propels all the other letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and it's one of those things that once it's put into motion, it doesn't stop and it takes on a life of its own. So we have it here with just burning it down completely, with the destruction that just never ends. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, so we've got the portrait here. So I think what this is saying is that those people who are really the bad players in the Epstein files, they're actors, politicians, and why not the self-appointed gurus who have been very good and very manipulative and seductive. That's how the grooming starts and all that. That's how Ghislaine lured those young girls and probably some boys up to the lion's den. Okay, so underneath it all is the Ace of Wands, which means that these people have just been able to inspire. They're very charismatic, and they in the past have been able to inspire. Here we go with the Six of Cups and the luring of the children. The luring of the children, the innocent ones. And in this context, that's what I'm saying. Then we have the Chariot in reverse for the future of this. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm really seeing that the Tower energy is saying this whole thing may be, I mean, there's always going to be that element, but this thing is very easy. It could very well be dismantled now that France, Germany, UK, and more the EU and the British Isles getting very, very involved with this. So the opposing card here, opposing these people, well, the Two of Wands. It's like it's going to be a global thing, and that whatever that means, it's going to make it absolutely impossible to suppress because they're all about suppressing this and letting people get away with it. So in the spiritual community is saying they're all the same. They're just, Hollywood actors, or, the big movie stars that are going to be caught in this they have their charisma and their talent of acting. Politicians and the spiritual leaders, they're all smooth talkers, and they're all actors too. They're all, face it, they're all actors. So, I think I'm going to skip a few things because I think I want to do another reading after this. Okay, so in the past, the before tarot, we have in the past that this has been an isolated thing. This is something, and there's another video by a woman by the name of Therese who's saying that he is not the exception, aberration. This has been going on, and these lone creatures have been really getting away with this throughout history. That here we have the serpent, which he seems to be walking by. I would say that represents how this has poisoned society, and this woman goes back to the Roman times, how this has been a poison in our world since the beginning of history, since there was a ruling class of people, be they government people, the the elites of the billionaires and the tech people. I think I think Zuckerberg has been implicated, but I would say, of course, this is for entertainment purposes only, but I would say that we really need to, even with these ones we don't like, we really do need to look and see if, in fact, they are involved. So I would be leaning more like the billionaires. To me, probably guilty until proven innocent. Okay, so then moving along to the present, we do have the King of Wands. I would say this is going to the leaders they want to do something about this. This is kind of like the whole world except us, basically. So this is the King of Wands, who I would say this is leaders of other countries. I mean, they're ready to boot the Princess of Norway out. I mean, and of course we have the no longer prince in the UK. Prince Andrew is just Andy Windsor, whatever. So I would say, yeah, this is everyone but Trump on the world stage wanting to, unless maybe I will say with the exception of Putin and the other dictators, let's just say the leaders of the free world. And this is the wands. It goes back to the Eight of Wands, like it's all going to, once the match has been lit to this, there's a lot of wand fire energy in this reading, and a lot of major arcanas too. So looking into the future with this, we have, interesting, the Eight of Swords, and it's this woman that has been completely entrapped in this whole thing. And I would say with the blindfold is still on, but we have someone that coming in, the person coming in to rescue her or to loosen the bonds. In this upright, he's just kind of checking her out, but in the reverse, it's about the swords, the prison bar. They get pulled by gravity. He's getting ready to cut that, and it's saying that with a lot of these people, I'm looking at this as the survivors, that they really cannot do any healing on their own. They definitely need help, and they don't have to be in this alone, which I would say maybe translates to us as whatever we're going through, we don't have to do it alone. So we've got this. So let's see, in the hopes and the fears with all of this, we have the High Priestess. And this is the spilling out of the deep, dark secrets. And the hope is that with this, we can get some healing, some people being called to account for this. But there's also the fear of what is being revealed, and it is some pretty grim stuff. And, there are other resources that you can find out exactly what, there's infanticide and other things. But aside from the fact that YouTube would probably bar the video, I just don't want to go there anyway. So YouTube, you don't have a problem with me, but all kinds of horrific stuff. And so I want to see what the outcome. So this is kind of the portrait of what's going on, and what I'm getting out of this is that someone who apparently seems to be guilty in this, like Deepak Chopra, is no different than the billionaires and the movie stars and the politicians. They're all like the same. They just have a different way of operating. So what's going to happen here is a chariot in reverse. Boy, that came up here. A chariot in reverse means that, I would say, in regards to them, they're not going to be going anywhere. They're not going to be able to. There will be a halt in whatever they're going to do. I'm going to bet that Chopra's book sales have probably fallen off. So I want to see what is the energy propelling this, and this is. It's the gathering up of the evidence. It's putting all of these little things together and letting them build up. And then in themselves, they may seem minor, but this is all the building up and the working to the bigger evidence. So that is pretty much what's going on with these perpetrators. So I want to do a read on, how is it affecting us, and what does this have to do with our own spiritual development? Because a lot of this is going to be, people maybe, because I've done this myself. They followed someone for a while, say like on YouTube, they stopped following them. There are people, astrologers and psychics who back, almost 4 years ago in 22 said that, and quite a few of them said that, Biden was not going to make it he was going to resign before the year was over. Some of them had him out in the summer. So I immediately, for most of them, I immediately unsubscribed, and I liked him, but no, not anymore. So I think what this is saying is that people are going to realize in the journey of the death card is that they've got to give up some of their heroes, be them in whatever walk of life, and they are just as sleazy as, I guess the number one on the sleaze parade is probably the politicians, and then the movie stars, and people are they just can't wrap themselves around the fact that now it's the gurus taking the big hit. I'm not surprised, because there were some law of attraction people I followed sometime, and this, I'm beginning to say, if I see them sitting in a lotus position, they're out of there. Really? I've kind of had it with that sort of thing. So, yeah, there was this one guy with the brown guy with the adoring little white chick, sitting at his knee when he wasn't in a lotus position, just hanging on every word. And I said, okay, I'm done with this one. I'm really done with this one, with his fleet of cars. And I just manifested them, give me a break here. Okay, so I just want to see, how is that going to affect, what is the effect, and what are we doing, what are we going to do about it in our own little spiritual community here? What are we going to do about this? Because I'm telling you that it really, whether they're, it's interesting in this tape, because they're not all Epstein pedophiles. He goes into other people. He kind of makes his way. By the time he gets to Teal Swan, she's not implicated in that, but she's kind of had a strange life, if it's true, and that that she might not be the best guru Well, no guru is that you might want to take what she says with a grain of salt is the kindest way I can put that. Okay, now, so let's see what is this what is this what is this doing to us? I mean, how do we fit in this picture in our growth as this stuff gets unraveled here? Okay, let's see. So, come on. What the hell is... Oh, boy. Let's see. Did we have something get in the way of the camera here? Oh, here we go. Okay. That's weird how that keeps me. I'll probably put my hand in the wrong place. Oh, such professionally edited. Okay, here we go. Oh, why is that doing that? The camera. Maybe I shouldn't have it down this far. Oh. Okay. Put this up and the camera might be covered. Why does it keep getting... Oh, okay. I'm not going to touch this now. Just do it like some of the others. Okay, so here we have is our base card. Oh, the High Priestess. You know what? I think some people are afraid to... They're afraid to look at this because it may be uncovering some pretty upsetting things, in the subconscious, or maybe I have brought up the whole thing like people that have been through this, not Epstein, but the same thing. It's really, really bringing up some trauma that could be buried or they thought they had gotten over in therapy. So it's bringing up some stuff, and I think that maybe they turn to these people, these spiritual healers, as like the way I used to turn to drinking, that kind of a thing, sort of as a comfort thing. Then we have, also I feel as though maybe people may be a bit traumatized at first to hear that maybe their heroes have been like their perpetrators, which is kind of starting to make sense to me. That hadn't occurred to me. So let's see what the energy with that is. The Page of Cups in reverse, which has two meanings. This is the like not having grown up emotionally and having maybe emotional problems, substance abuse, but it is the titty baby card of our very immature leaders. And maybe some of these gurus who have a different personality, maybe they are big babies at heart and they need to be validated, and then people fall into this trap. So underlying this, we have got the Queen of Pentacles, which may mean that at some point there might have been a healthy female energy that might have left their lives at an early point, but that there was a spark of hope. And then we have, interesting, the queens are coming up. Then we have our manipulative, passive aggressive, totally needy, which may be like this woman might have been okay, and then things happened and she became this. And this is could be quite confusing for people. Then we have, and then gets left out in the snow. So what this could be is that also in some instances, this queen was the mother that may have passed away. Then the wicked stepmother that's a total mess comes in, and then kids are left out in the snow. So that's one kind of dysfunctional family, or there was some kind of abandonment, that kind of a thing. So leading up to this whole thing, we have the before tarot with the four of wands. This is interesting because the butterflies are coming in, but I would say that those stained glass windows are about to close. So that means that the whatever decent spirituality that there was is kind of getting messed up, or it could be something about the religion that gets all of this, very, very murky. Then in the after tarot, we have the Eight of Cups, which usually the figure is walking away, but before she walks away, she's going to have one for the road, okay? Which means this could be a result in substance abuse, or perhaps, I see, because she's upright. Okay, I took a closer look at her. What she's doing is that she's going to put the cup down. I think that she's going to say, I don't need this stuff anymore. So she's contemplating it, but she's going to put it down and walk away from everything. So I think what this is starting to say is that it's a death card. We've got to walk away from all of this stuff that, because I don't know if it's upbringing or it's the culture, but we have been told that we have to worship these heroes, this sort of thing. And then we're so shocked when they turn out to be predators. Okay, so coming up in the past of this, we have the Lovers in reverse. So that really is, kind of like letting go of something that you thought you loved, but it turns out to be not real. So that does go with the hero worship. And then we have in the present, we have the Five of Wands. A lot of conflicts. I'm going to say that the comment sections on a lot of these things are going to explode as people's, hero worship gets dashed. And, it's just a part of this whole thing, like the whole political climate has really divided people, gotten people fighting. They're not fighting quite as violently here as they are in some of the other decks. And they're always young people doing this. So this is going to cause quite an upheaval, a lot of conflict. But maybe it's a way of getting this stuff out in the open that has to happen. So getting into the future of this, we have The Seven of Pentacles. So, as he walks away, he has decided, well, I'm going to leave it all, but I'm going to take one with me. I've got to hang on to one, but it's in reverse, so it's saying, I might be hanging on to one, but I've got to let that go. Got to let that go. So, what this is all saying is that this is really going to be a very big exercise in people struggling to see these people for who they are. And even, I will say that even with some of the innocent ones, I think what's going to happen is that they're still going to see that they may have feet of clay because they had some kind of any kind of connection to Epstein. I think with the Dalai Lama, it was Epstein, was trying to get in touch with him, and I think that's why his name appeared. And they said it's not going to happen, so maybe they made some stuff up, and the Chinese made some stuff up. But at any rate, people would just be disappointed with the mere thought that they were ever associated with this. So I want to see let's see something in the hopes and the fears. Okay. The Wheel of Fortune is reversed, and so I don't see this as a loss of fortune, but it's maybe people refusing to see that this is kind of like the karma, and because this is about karma, that a number of them, well, in that respect, will be paying in the loss of their followers. But, and I think a lot of the followers that may still want to hang on to some of these people, especially the ones that are involved in pedophilia, and maybe do a downward spiral because they're, insecure, and then their heroes have fallen. So the hope would be, well, the fear would be that somehow, people could see themselves as my character must be lacking if I followed this person. So they get really hard on themselves. But also maybe I also see this as the stopping of the turn of the wheel to regroup, to reassess your values too. So a lot of people are going to reassess their values, and I'd like to say with that Swami yogi guy, that if he is complicit with all of this stuff, it may be that people might switch to a different spiritual practice for a while, or take a break, or stop and reassess, which isn't a bad thing. So what this is telling me is that I think what all this spread is saying is that people are going to be reevaluating their values and asking, well, what was it that drew me to this person, that I put all my eggs in that person's basket? What is that trying to tell me? And I would say, especially with this card, the Eight of Cups, is that people will be reassessing maybe their own bad habits, taking a good look at it, and look at the mess at the bottom, and before they turn away and go on to something else. So the concluding, so that was the hopes and the fears. The hope is to keep that wheel turning, but the fear is when it stops or goes reverse, that they have to stop and say, well, this is teaching me some kind of a lesson. So for the conclusion of this, we have, again, this with the Eight of Pentacles is, just as with the investigation goes, look at all those little red flags that maybe you've seen. You want to investigate and see what part, if you can, what part, if any, in those files, but also to kind of take a look at all those little red, maybe write down all those little red flags you saw that you kind of swept under the rug, and then look up from this work and take a look, and you'll see a pattern of, well, what empty part in in my life did I need to do for this to to fill up something empty in my life, which is what this is talking about. So the energy behind this is the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So he's usually the slow and steady does it Knight, but I would say that here it is. In reverse, he becomes the mercenary. He becomes the mercenary Knight. And that's an important, I can't believe, a lot of these people, a big red flag is how they can extract money from you, but not just money like, we do readings and this sort of thing, but, how much more are they charging for their workshops? And in one instance of someone that I know who says, well, that course of hers looks interesting, but no, you can't take it unless you've start at the rock bottom of all of her courses, even if you know all that stuff already, that you have to take the whole thing to make your way to get. So it's stuff like that they hook you on. And to realize, to take a look and say, I know we've all got to make a living, but to see if that money thing is, and to see if they're being very mercenary with their spiritual thing in it, and how they might suck you into, like, one thing after another that you've got to put your money into. So it's interesting that these conclusions they're pentacles. It's the money, honey. It is the money. And that's the one thing that they're almost like cult leaders. They will try to extract as much out of you as they can. And I think, that goes to the Epstein money laundering. See, this is like an octopus with all these tentacles. I feel like I need to draw another card. The Ten of Wands. So when you start to see this, it's time to, they pile all this stuff onto you. So it's time to drop it all. Drop it all, unburden yourself, save your money, and reevaluate. Basically what that's saying. So I think that the whole thing is that they're basically all the same. They're really coming from the same place. They just have different modalities. But I would also say that people seek after them to fill a certain void in their life, and that they need to be led. See, the good teachers will say, like, I'm going to throw some information at you that maybe you don't know. Then it's up to you in your own choices to what you're going to take, how you're going to use it. But I don't have the answers. I'm just throwing some possibilities out there, which I think the Dalai Lama is pretty much about. The others is like, well, it's my way or the highway. So there's a lot to consider. But I would say that as these more information comes out and it creeps into our world, there are going to be a lot of disillusioned people, and a lot of them will not want to hear about it, which is the sad part. But like it or not, they are. So I'm sure I am not done with this topic as more is revealed, but that's why, they showed, like the 3 people in the thumbnail, and I had to put an X over the Dalai Lama. I said, okay, that one's off the list. I heard enough, and I will be presenting. But you can, it's up to you to decide if in fact he's on the list or he's not on, or what his role is. But at any rate, there will be more about this. We're not done with this topic yet. So, with that, I will wish you a good night, and you will be seeing this early Monday morning. So, which it is already, but a little bit later. Okay, well, bye now.